Let me start with this. Yeah. On behalf of All India Educators Forum and Mind and Me, I welcome you all to the webinar on innovative teaching and learning. So what is innovation? Things that are available, things that are existing. We just simply take that and put it in a new way and present it. That is what innovation is all about. We have our traditional teaching methods. We have the flipped classrooms. We have asynchronous and synchronous form of classrooms. And then we have the holistic learning and the experiential learning. So what we have to do is just mix and match, plan, present, and implement for our entire education community, because that's what innovation is all about. And if we talk about creativity, creativity is thinking and innovation is the doing part. So that's what the world needs today. The world needs doers, the world needs dreamers. We need to mute yourselves, please. Mute yourself. Thank you. So that's what we need today. We need dreamers that do. And that's what we are here for. We are here to discuss about innovation in teaching and learning. And when innovation happens in teaching, only then the next step is innovation in learning. And I am really so glad that the teachers over here, the resource persons over here have agreed and agreed to share with us about their insights on innovation. Because when you go online, or there is very little information on innovation in teaching. There is innovation in transport, communication, science, technology. There is innovation in medical field. But what about the education? It's just coming up. And we are so glad that at least we are taking that step, one step towards even discussing and coming over here about innovation. So I welcome the resource persons of today, that is Ms. Vinny Agnes, Ms. Nusra Sultana, and Ms. Prachi. So our first resource person we have with us is Ms. Vinny Agnes. She is the educational supervisor in GEMS School, Dubai. She is also the well-being coordinator over there, and she's a master's from Liverpool University in leadership in United Kingdom. So I welcome you all to the webinar. I welcome Ms. Vinny Agnes to take over the forum from me, and please share your insights. Welcome on board, Ms. Vinny Agnes. Vinny, are you there? Vinny? I'll just allow you to share your screen. And I cannot see Vinny here. Yeah. Start off with someone else. Is it all muted? Just, I think all are muted and. Hello, participants. Where is it? There's some technical glitch. Please hold on.
Yes, no problem. Now I'm able to unmute myself. Thank you, Nina. As per the settings, I was unable to unmute myself. Yeah. So good evening, everyone. As per Dubai time, it's 5 here, and I'm sure in India it's 6:30, and it's a beautiful evening and quite relaxed because the schools have closed for 2 weeks, and we have this wonderful opportunity to enjoy the weather and meet each other during the festive season, if not physically, at least virtually. So this is amazing. Thanks to technology that has brought us onto this platform to share our best practices. And as Ms. Nina has already given my introduction, I'm from the Kindergarten Starters, a GEM school from Dubai. And this organization is wonderful. It gives us ample opportunities to grow, to explore, and to implement new ideas and technology innovation into the lessons. And basically, we are here to do our best for our students who are interested to us. So taking that further, we all are aware of the new normal, that is teaching from, or teaching on a virtual platform and taking lessons as it demands to be just be on screen and be with our students on a virtual platform. So this remote learning has actually given us another platform where we teachers actually had to emerge into a different role altogether. So initially, definitely when we started in the month of April, it wasn't so easy. We all thought it's going to be a little difficult because we didn't know what's going to happen, how the students are going to respond to it, and how we are going to take it further. There was no clue at all. But teachers have been brave enough to be, starting this and doing it with their students. And I have seen and I've read that across the world, education did not stop, whether the pandemic was severe or whatever it was. Education went on, and thanks to technology for that. On that note, I must mention that I come from a school which actually adopted technology, or I must say digital platform, in the year 2013, when we said bye-bye to the textbooks and we quickly switched over to e-learning platform. All our resources, our approaches have been completely digital. And ours is a primary school, and our students from KG1 to grade 5 had their tabs in hand from the year 2013. And we didn't have to carry those heavy bags with the heavy textbooks at all. Our students had everything on the click of a button. So when we started this journey in the year 2013, it was difficult. It was challenging for us because we didn't know how the students are going to take it forward. But we knew that this is the way forward. So we were fully convinced with the fact that teaching students on a digital platform or through digital approach would be the best approach. And after brainstorming and after meeting several resource people across the world, we brought in some wonderful resources for our students, and we gave them the username and password for those resources. We had a pilot run in our school, and then we took it forward from there. And from April 2013, in our school, we had a complete approach of digital learning. I must tell you that the resources that we brought in, actually, initially, the parents thought it's going to be very difficult because the children will have to be on the screen, or maybe they have to carry their tabs or devices. But we tackled all those situations, we tackled all those challenges. We had to sit for hours with our parents, telling them that this is the way forward and this is how you have to, teach your students, and this is how you can come to us, meet us. And we gave them several sessions on digital learning. And gradually we saw a change, and gradually we saw that our students and our parents were able to take it on a positive note. It didn't take us a very long time. It just took us a few months to tell our parents that this is actually doing wonders. And we compared our graph, in fact, of of the previous year, that was 2012. And then after we spent 6 months with the digital learning in 2013, we compared our graph and we saw that the students were able to respond better in the lessons. They were more confident. They knew things before we could teach them, in detail, because we had a different approach altogether. That's a stream approach where the students had the opportunity of coming prepared. We used to give them flip lessons. They used to prepare their information card, and it was research based learning in the lessons. We had students coming in with their own information, and we reached a stage where the teachers took a back seat and we gave a platform to our students to present what they have researched and what they have learned. So the lessons took a different turn altogether, let me tell you, a complete student-led lessons where the children were more confident of the fact what they were learning. They didn't sit blank in the class. We had students' voice in the lessons where we invited students to present what they had brought in, and we started the lesson from what they thought was, the new learning. So the traditional approach where a teacher comes prepared with the lesson plan and she comes with the textbook and she tells the students, okay, open this page and let's read this page and let's see what's there. And then you have your usual lessons where you give them some kind of question answers and words and you tell them, okay, copy this, and the lesson gets over. And then in the assessment, you give them the same kind of questions and you ask them to answer, and the students answer wonderfully and they get full marks. You happy, I happy, students happy, everybody is very happy, the parents are super happy. But we didn't do that. We had a different challenge in hand. We gave our students, we said, we're not going to give you direct questions. We will give you questions that you have in your mind. Okay, come up with your questions. So we invited them with their challenges. We invited them with their questions, because the teachers are actually of an idea that we know everything because I'm a teacher, but that's not right. There are children who know more than us at times about several concepts. So we need to give them a platform to exhibit, showcase what they know. And when the children actually come and command over the stage, let me tell you, teaching and learning is actually very, very effective, very effective. Our students in grade 1, in grade 2, in grade 3, I must tell you, have a different approach, have a different idea of all the topics that we have taught them so far. They don't stick to those 2-3 pages of the textbook. They explore further, they find out things for themselves, and they give they come up with skills like we don't have to tell them you read this from here to here. They tell us, ma'am, I've read this and this is what I found. So they are actually they are the ones who are discovering things for themselves, finding out for themselves and presenting answers to each other. I will share something with you, which will actually bring in a little bit of a different idea in your lesson. So next time when you take up your lesson, you can actually give your lesson this kind of a start. I'll just share my screen with you. Can you see my screen, Miss Nina?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. So when we begin a lesson, we don't ask questions. We don't say, what have you learned or what did you learn last or whatever. We give them a provocation. We either play a video or we show a picture or a clip or something from somewhere, and we just give it to them and say, okay, let's brainstorm. Let's see what's there. So that's called a thinking routine. So we have actually trained our students to think critically. They have to actually think and dive deep into the concept, whichever we are going to teach them. So whether it's English or math or science or social study or model education or whatever for that matter, we don't go directly with our prepared lessons. We give them a provocation and we tell them, here's something for you to think about. So when I say thinking routine, let me tell you, at KGS, 3 to 4 years back, we had, a project zero, okay, a project that we started from Harvard University. And our principal brought this approach into the lessons where the students have opportunity to think, to explore, to express, and to find out things on their own. So when I'm showing my screen to you, what you see on the screen is nothing but a thinking routine, which is called a compass point. Here, if you see, we just give them a question. We just give them a question and we tell them, or maybe a video, or maybe we show them a picture, okay? And we tell them what comes to your mind. So when you see this compass point thinking routine, actually, if you give it a closer look, the W stands for the worries. What worries you? When you see this video, is there any worry in your mind? Or when you see this picture, is anything worrying you? So the students express then, So this was one of the topics that we had taken in the lesson, and we had probed students to think using this thinking routine, which is called compass point. And here, if you see the students' responses, I've just taken up one sample for you. Ihan said, when coronavirus goes off, will these animals go back again? They felt that, we had shown a video where the animals were on the roads because human beings were all inside in the lockdown. So they had a question that worried them. Nima said, I'm worried when coronavirus goes, will the water be dirty again? This was her worry. So the children expressed their worries in different ways when they saw the video which we had shown them. Okay. And then if you move to N, when I say N, that is for north as per your compass point. But here in this thinking routine, N stands for need to know. The students must express what they need to know. So Janvi, if you see the sample, Janvi expressed, how did the water become clean? Is someone cleaning the water? So we had shown some clean water pools to them. And how did the water suddenly become so clean? So she needs to know that has something different happened during this pandemic that the water has suddenly become very clean. So she wanted to know that. So the students must have that need to know within them. And then if you look at the E, you have further, what excites you? What excites you? So Nima said, water is clean, so animals are happy. Before we could see, stingray, now we can see them. It means she just wanted to express that I'm so happy to see clean water. She's excited about the new things that she's seeing around her. So there are students who are always excited about things. You must give them a platform to express their excitement. Then if you see, we have W, okay, we have N, we have E, we have S. And in S, if you see, maybe you give a student a platform to express an opinion, a stance, S for stance, an opinion to express. What is your suggestion or what's your opinion? Children in your class sit with several opinions. You must give them a chance to express their opinions. So this is one of the thinking routines which our children, do in KG1, KG2, grade 1, grade 2. And here we don't do corrections for them. We don't edit anything because this is completely their own way of expressing, and we must give them the liberty to express. So if you want your students to be critical thinkers, you must give them a platform to think and to express. That is innovation. That is innovation. Innovation is not just dealing with technology or giving them, device or giving them a new form of learning. No, this is innovation. But the students have the liberty to express, to explore, this is innovation. If you see, this is another way of engaging students in the lessons, as I told you. When we brought in the digital learning, okay, as I told you, our lessons were not restricted to those 2-3 pages of the textbook. We went beyond that. We went beyond that. Here, our students ask questions. They have the question stem in their hand, and they are the ones who come up with their questions. So we use question stems to encourage our students to ask questions. And also, let me tell you, all my teachers sitting here, whenever we pose a question, we ask the students what is this? And we expect them to answer there and then. Let me tell you, that's a wrong approach altogether. Okay, the students, after you pose a question, you should pause, wait, let them think. And as per the research, we must give 30 seconds to every student to think. Okay, so when you pose a question, pause for some time, give them that think time. Just don't go on saying, come on, answer, I want your answer. How can we expect a 6-year-old or a 7-year-old, or for that matter, even an 18-year-old to answer immediately? If I ask you a question right now, I'm sure you will first think about the answer. So we must give that time to our students as well. So after posing the question, you must pause. If the student doesn't know the answer, bounce it to someone else. If Rahul is not able to answer, let Nina answer it. And if Nina doesn't answer, let that question be bounced back to you or to someone else. So there's always a strategy to ask questions. Pose a question, pause for a while, bounce it, and if nothing happens, let it be bounced back to you, because you as a teacher would definitely have some answer there. So allow the students to ask questions. If you see a sample there, a student has created a question. If you were in this situation, what would you do? This is a student's question, an open-ended question, an applied question where the student is asking you to put yourself into that situation. So here our students are actual questioning. We don't question much. We encourage them to question. This is another thinking routine where our students actually see, think, and wonder. As I told you, in the lessons, we give them a provocation. So the students are given a picture or a video or a big question, and we ask them, what do you see? So they express what do they see. Then they think, and whatever they think, they write that. And I wonder, now that's the highest order of blooms actually. If you probe your students to wonder, they will go to that highest level to think beyond, and they will be wanderers, and they will say, I wonder, how did this happen? I wonder, how comes, our students in the class asked, I wonder, how does staying at home helps, stop corona? So we said, because this is, and then they came up with the answers, and they said, okay, what would happen if the students, if the people started going out? Okay, and then they had answers to that. So you must give them that platform to wonder what might happen. The might, of the mighty should be given to the students. And if you see, we are on a virtual platform. Definitely, we are not talking to the students in a physical classroom, but we give them different ways of expressing their answers. So what you see on the screen is an app called Linoit. You can make a note of it. Linoit. This is a Linoit app, and the students immediately get to type, and you can see the responses on the wall. So this is an app. So if you see, we are integrating technology into our lessons and innovation into a normal teaching, into our normal lessons every day. Now, this is again the different ways of asking questions. The students must understand the questions. Teachers shouldn't restrict their questions to what is this, how does this happen, when does this happen, who does it? No, you have to actually think. You have to actually think that what will happen if the animals get extinct? How can I protect and save them? What if the animals come and live in the city? So you have to actually frame your questions differently, and those are called open-ended questions, where you don't have any fixed answer. There is no fixed answer. Let the students explore, research, and find different answers. Okay, then you have your challenges, where we give challenges to our students to actually, give them a platform called Mentimeter. And later on, maybe some of you are aware of this Menti, and some of you may not be. So even the mental math that we give to our students, okay, we ask them to connect with the prior learning. This is another thinking routine, which is connect, extend, challenge. You connect with the prior learning, okay? You extend your learning, and then take up the challenge. What challenges you might face in this lesson? So connect, extend and challenge. This is another thinking routine. If you use this in your math lesson, let me tell you, lessons are going to go to that higher order. Because if there is no challenge in the lesson, let me tell you, your high achievers get bored, they start yawning, and they start distracting you. So give them this kind of thinking routine where they can actually think, connect, and let them take up the challenge. This is another thinking routine, okay, which is called KWL. K stands for what I know. So whatever they know already, they put down. What I want to know, whatever they want to know further, that they will write here. Then what, after you have taught half of your lesson, you can stop in between and tell them and ask them, what did I learn till now? It is very important to gauge, to find out how is your lesson progressing. So you can just immediately tell the students, can I take a few pointers from you? What have you learned so far? So they just might express that. This is called KWLH grid. KWLH grid. You can make a note of this. If you go to Google, type KWLH grid thinking routine, it will come, and many samples will also come there. We have these resources in hand because we have done our courses and we have bought these resources so we can use them freely. But I'm sharing this with you because this is a very good practice in the lesson, which is actually taking our lessons up to a very higher level. And all our students are benefiting from them. So you can always take that. And if you see how I learned, now whatever you teach, you think the way you've taught is the best way. Your students may come up with a different idea when you tell them, how did you learn this? Now, when you add, you may be adding in different ways. Some of you add on fingers, some of you draw lines, some of you add mentally. So the students must tell you, how did they learn it? Probably some students learn through visuals, some learn through music, some learn through actions, some learn through research. So it depends. So however your students learn, they must express that. They must tell you, ma'am, I learned this concept in this manner. Give them that chance to express themselves. This is chalk and talk, where you can make your students sit in a group. This is very, very good for collaborating. On a virtual platform, you can give them menti.com or Lenovit to collaborate. But if you're in a physical classroom, you can take an A3 size paper or half of your chart paper, divide it into 4 parts, and let your 4 students sit in 4 different places together. And you can put your question right in the center and let each one simultaneously express whatever idea they have or whatever answer they have about that particular question. So when the students are working, they can discuss. I have this answer. What do you feel about this? What do you feel about this? So when they share with each other, they chalk and they talk and they chalk it down. So that's why it is called chalk and talk. So you can use this strategy in your lessons for collaboration. It's beautiful. This is again, as I said, I see, I think, I wonder. And you have something called claim, support, and question. So this is another thinking routine, which comes, the students claim, I know this for sure, okay? Then support. What support do you need from the teacher? They will write, I want my teacher to do this, or I want my teacher to teach me addition in this way. Is there any question in your mind? Students must write, this is my question today. I want to learn this. Give them this kind of opportunity to express themselves. This is going to make your lesson very different. And let me tell you, your students will start interacting with you very openly without any hesitation. The moment your bond with your student is strong, the moment you start interacting openly with your students, the learning will be effective. And that's why we are here. We want the teaching and learning to be effective. And all these things will definitely help you make your teaching effective and their learning more effective. Moving on, let me tell you, we at KGS have different features. We don't stick by the given textbooks, and we don't go exactly by the given themes. We have a curriculum in hand. We definitely go by that, but we integrate several things into our lessons. Climate change is one of the other aspects in our lessons, if you see, where we want our students to become more climate thoughtful. What's happening to the environment these days? What's happening to the climate these days? Are we safe on this earth? What's happening to the mother earth? Is this planet safe to live? And what actions should we take in order to make it a safe place to live? Let me share another thing with you related to climate change. And let me tell you, this is not a separate subject or a lesson. We integrate all of this into our lessons. We don't take it separately because you don't have the time to teach everything in isolation. You have to actually get into the lessons, take whatever you want to, put it in the lesson, stitch it together, and then give it to the students.
Vinny
I'm
ma'am,
going
I'll
to
just
share.
interrupt you once.
Yeah,
Anytime we log out, we can log in with the same meeting ID and password.
sure,
Thank you.
sure,
Please
ma'am.
continue, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Let me share my screen with you. You will actually be amazed to see the kind of pledge our grade 2 students have taken towards the earth. Miss Nina, can you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. So if you see, when we talked about climate change, we wanted our little students to be very, very thoughtful about it. So we said, what can we do? And the students came forward and said, ma'am, I would like to volunteer. And we had volunteers. So if you see, we appointed some green monitors. We have a waste management monitor who goes and who checks who all are wasting food on the table. They go around during the break, and even wasting water, they go and close the tap immediately. They go and check each other. And then they have taken pledges. They have taken pledges. I promised to stop using plastic bottles and bags. Let me tell you, last year when we had physical school, none of our students at KGS brought plastic bottles or plastic bags. Our students themselves made paper bags. They themselves carried bottles that were steel bottles they carried. KG1, KG2 did not carry steel bottles because they have sharp edges. We allowed them to carry different bottles that could be used for a longer time. And our grade 2 students went around checking everyone, even the parents who came into school. If they had the bottle, the children would go and say, sorry sir, you're not allowed to carry this plastic bottle in our school. So we stopped them. The children took up the challenge of doing this, and we had no plastic bags, no plastic bottles. And in the lessons, we taught them how they could go about. We didn't give them a separate lesson. This was integrated into their science lessons. So when they did English, in creative writing, we gave them topics that were related to this. They were able to write their opinion. So we did opinion writing in creative writing, and the students wrote their opinions about climate change. So this was very well brought into our lessons, into our daily lessons. And if you see, our children actually different in every section we had green monitors, children taking pledges, what they would do about the environment. The names are there. So this is a true testimony of the fact how our students are thinking towards the climate and what all are they doing. And let me tell you, these are not grade 10, 11, 12 students.